Howdy, y'all.
Here we go.
This is a quick trigger warning.
Trigger warning for comedy.
We're going to be talking about some highly sensitive sexual stuff, sexual assault, abuse, rape,
It's funny because she doesn't talk about any of that shit.
things like that. So if you are not comfortable, please click off of this video because I am going to share my sexual assault stories, plural, unfortunately.
And none of them turn out to be sexual assault. Plural. None of them.
I'm going to start by telling you the first story, which is the most recent story.
And the most hilarious. Hang in there, guys. Listen to this shit.
As a victim of sexual assault,
Again, you are not a victim of sexual assault. Stop cheapening the crime.
I'm going to begin this first story.
This story, by the way, is so fucking hilarious. You gotta hang in there with me, guys.
This happened last September. I was living by myself in a one-bedroom apartment in a fairly large apartment complex. And honestly, I didn't really know any of my neighbors at all.
So she was living the big city life. Like everyone else in a big city.
Everyone just kind of passed by, and I, for some reason, met my next door neighbor when we were walking down the street, and he said that he had seen me around, and something I could tell was off about him, just
What was off about him was that he wasn't attractive.
like the way he was walking and slumped over, and I just...
He had that creepy perv walk and that, slump that all the pervs have. All perverts slump over. They're all slumped.
I just knew. You just know. Like, you have... Always trust your gut. Guys, seriously. My dog would bark at him every time we saw him on the street.
Your gut and your dog, guys. Your gut and your dog. Oh, your dog barked at a neighbor guy. Oh, fucking perv.
There was just something off. And I found out that he lived right next door to me. Literally, like a door over. Okay? So I did not know that before. And he started popping up more and more, and he would ask me to hang out with him.
So what's happening here, and she should know this. The guy probably found her attractive because she's not a bad looker. She's kind of stacked up on the top there. Red hair, redheads, hey, kind of crazy. She looks kind of like Faye Reagan. If anyone knows who that is. And yeah, she keeps shooting him down, probably because he was unattractive. And the dog probably read her body language. Yeah, what? God. And I'm sure none of this was said before. Oh, yeah. Hold on, guys. Hold on.
And I would always say, oh, you know what? I'm really sorry. I'm just busy. I can't really hang out. And making excuses like I have a boyfriend, even though I didn't.
So she admits to being a lying manipulator. And if women wouldn't use the boyfriend lie to manipulate men to go away, other men wouldn't be so persistent. If women wouldn't lie and manipulate so much, men would learn to take yes for yes and no for no. But yeah, whatever.
Stuff like that. And so, which I shouldn't have had to do. But honestly, I just felt...
She felt weird around him because she knew he wanted to have sex with her, but she didn't want to have sex with him. Yeah, feelings.
Weird around him. And it got to the point where he would be able to hear that I was home through the wall.
Hey, Peter, man, check out Channel 9. It's the breast exam. Woo!
And so he would come over to my apartment and knock on the door, and I would sit in my kitchen holding a knife, pretending not to be home, because he would knock.
What an asshole. I mean, he would knock. He would knock. What a cock-sucking, misogynistic asshole.
And then wait. 2 minutes would go by. Then I would hear a knock again, and it would just go on until eventually I had to answer the door and say, I'm really busy right now, sorry.
It's important to note here, and you might want to rewind it, that's her lying face. Like Stardust pointed out with that one dude, and I'm going to point out another video in the future, but that's her lying face.
He somehow found me on Twitter. I didn't tell him my last name. I don't know how he found me.
Wow, so he used social media, and he knows how to use the internet. I can tell you how he found you. It's called the internet.
That's the scary part.
No, the scary part is people like you have Twitter accounts and tweet. That's the scary part. And sad. It's also sad.
And he did. The point is he did, and he started tweeting me. And I started saving I started taking screenshots of the stuff he tweeted me. Just to have. I don't know. I've always been very paranoid.
Good, at least she admits that she's fear-ridden. At least she admits it. If more women did that, there would be no need for feminism.
And so that's something that I did. One morning, I woke up very early to walk my dogs as usual.
Now here's where the awesome is about to start, guys. This is just the funniest shit.
It was about 7 a.m. And I opened my door and I'm walking my dog outside and I slam my door shut and I hear, "Hey," and I turn around and he's standing there in his boxers. And so he had obviously been waiting for me to come outside. And I turn around and I'm in shock that I have to see him standing there with his boxers, and I say, "Hi," and he says, "Do you want to come over and watch a movie with me?" And I said, "I can't, I have to go to work right now." And at that point, he had started to stick his hand down his pants and play with himself. And then he exposed himself to me and started playing with himself. And in shock, I was just standing there frozen and I was like, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" And he said, "I want to fuck you."
Just the greatest shit ever, man. The greatest shit ever.
I called the police, filed the police report. The police were very helpful. I had a detective on the case. Come to find out that this man, because he's a man, not a boy, he's over the age of 21, this man had exposed himself to other women in my building before, and they didn't press charges, therefore the building didn't have to evict him. And they also chose not to notify his neighbors or anyone else in the building. Okay?
Now, the other women probably didn't press charges because you probably live in a big city like Los Angeles or something. And it's minor. No one's harmed really by it. I don't approve of what he did. And then since they didn't press charges, yeah, he would probably been listed as a sex offender. And then that would have ruined his life. So yeah, the other women probably just didn't care enough. Hey, some weird guy jerking off and exposing us.
This incident made me look at my life under a microscope, and yes, it brought on anxiety, it brought on a severe depression, which I had boiling under the surface anyway, but it really brought it out. And it also made me think back, almost remember and relive stuff I had blacked out.
Now, she meant to say stuff that she suppressed. Real brief side note here. Suppression is when you sort of almost consciously or willfully try to forget something. Repression is when something's so traumatic that you subconsciously block it out from memory. Suppression is voluntary. Repression is involuntary. And blacking out is something you do when you drink too much.
This leads me to the second sexual assault, which I didn't realize was assault at the time.
Because it's not sexual assault. I hate the fact you're calling things sexual assault that aren't. Stop it.
Because I was dating this person and we had already been sexually active together. One day we were hanging out and he said, "Hey, come here, I want to show you something." And he brought me into a dark room, and I don't want to get graphic here, but he did something sexual to me. Let's just say my clothes were on, and he did something sexual to me, not with me, to me, that made me feel humiliated.
God, I so want to know what it is. I so want to know what he did. Oh, God, I so want to know.
It was degrading. I felt like a dog. And
She felt like a dog. Oh, what was this guy doing? Oh, man, I want to know. I gotta know.
that relationship fizzled out pretty quickly. Let's just be honest. And the last story that I want to share is actually the first time I was ever assaulted. And I had kind of blacked this out. I gotta say, I really did not remember until...
It just bothers me when women misuse psychological terms. It just bothers me for some reason.
I was at boarding school. I was 16 years old.
The best beginning to a story ever. Ever? I bet you she screws it up, though.
Hey there, sweetie. How old are you?
16.
18. You're first.
Mom!
I like where this is going. Giggity, giggity, giggity.
And it's a great school. It really is. And I wish I had told someone about this, but like I said, still don't blame myself for this happening. There was this guy in my film classes who never spoke to me. He never gave me the time of day. And one night I was walking to one of my classes in the dark, and
Giggity.
I just see a figure coming out, and he sees me and I see him, and I just kind of nod at him like, hey. And he kind of just pulls me into the first building and starts kissing me and touching me, like over my clothes and stuff like that. We heard footsteps, and so he just kind of casually got off and walked away.
Giggity, 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 giggity.
And I remember thinking, wow, somebody likes me. But that wasn't right, because he did it again. We were in one of the editing bays working on one of the films, and he did the same thing. Someone had left the room, and he pushed me up against the wall and started kissing me and touching me outside my pants and touching that area.
Giggity, giggity, giggity goo. Stick around.
Somebody had started jiggling on the door handle. It was my friend, and she walked in and he got off of me and he left. I was left just standing there like nothing had happened.
My fellow Americans, I have not been entirely truthful with you. I did gagoogity that girl. I geschmoigitied her geflavity with my googus. And I am sorry.
It's really hard to be a human being in this world, and it is especially harder for women. I know a lot of men do go through a lot of really, really awful shit. But I gotta say, like, every guy friend that I have has never felt unsafe walking down the street at any time in their lives. And I want that. I am very envious of that. And that's, when I think of the word feminism, yeah, there are a lot of inequalities between men and women, but that's what I'm going for. I don't hate men. I love men. I think men are wonderful. And I love women. And I think that people roll their eyes at a word that they don't understand. I don't want to be called a bitch or a slut or overly sensitive. And I don't want men to have to feel like they have to be tough all the time, that they can't cry, that they can't talk about their feelings, that they can't share their experiences with stuff like this, which happens all the time, but we really just don't hear about that stuff. And I hate the fact that a lot of men don't feel comfortable coming forward talking about it because their masculinity will be questioned.
Dear Diary, jackpot.
Alright, I'm just going to end it there. The rest of her video just yammers on. I hope y'all enjoyed.
All right. Well, you guys have a nice day. And always remember to go your own way. Yours truly, Ed.